Hey guys, my name's Katie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm out here with the donkeys and I want to talk to you about the 15 things I think you really need to consider before getting donkeys. Now I know for me to say that's not typical. I think everybody should have donkeys. I love them, so spoiler alert, at the end of this video, I'm going to recommend you get them if you're interested. They're perfect. But I wanted to share 15 things that I think you should really consider before you get donkeys. Now, number one is the absolute, by far, the most important thing that I want you to consider. We're going to start with 15 and we're just going to go down the list and we'll get to it quickly. Stick around with us to the very end because there's something you're not going to want to miss at the very end of this video. Number 15, poop. What are you going to do with all that poop? They leave it everywhere. So if you're already a homesteader, you already have livestock, you've probably already considered this, maybe not such a big deal. But I had a friend of mine once want to come over and visit the farm and bring her kids, and she says, I don't know, is there a lot of poop? And it made me laugh. I kind of thought it was funny. She's kind of a city girl. So anyways, what are you going to do with it? Do you have a garden? Are you going to put it in a compost bin? Okay, number 14 is, do you have water and power? So power is not really critical. It's helpful. It's kind of nice if you need to go out in the middle of the night and you have electricity so you can get a light out there. But if not, solar lights are an option. That's what we use. Water is critical. Do you have water pipes running out to the animals, like where you want to keep your animals? If not, that's really something to consider before you get animals. Now, of course, you can run long hoses, but if you're thinking about getting animals and you want to get things set up, I would encourage you to consider running some pipes out there. So number 13, where are you going to store your stuff? And by stuff, I mean their halters, their lead ropes, things like that, fly spray. There's a bunch of other stuff. Where are you going to keep it? Have you thought about that? It's pretty convenient when it's out near the animals. Even things like shovels, rakes for picking up their poo and cleaning out their bedding. Have you thought about where you're going to keep that? Mama knows where we keep ours. Number 12. So why are you getting the donkeys? Are you trying to get them as a guardian animal for your livestock? It could be a great option. What are you going to do if they don't like your livestock? What are you going to do if they're not a good guardian animal? Are you willing to separate them, put them in another fenced area? Do you have the space for something like that? Number 11, do you have a dry place to store all that feed? Do you know how much a donkey eats? All right, number 10, do you have a secure place to tie them up for the farrier, maybe the vet, or just training? If not, think about that. We have one. We have a few. All right, you guys, that brings us to number 9. What if you adopt a donkey and she's pregnant? It happens. It happened to us, huh, Mama? It happened to us. Are you willing to have another addition to the family? So we certainly were, but it took a little extra work and it was kind of last minute. We weren't planned. So we made it work. Mama made it work and we made it work, and now we have Gunner. Number 8, do you guys have any shade trees? It's not a must-have, but it sure is a nice to have. If it gets hot and sunny, it's nice to have a shade tree for them to get under. If you don't, have you thought about planting one? If you only get one thing out of this list, stick around for number 1 because it is by far the most important thing for you to consider. Number 7, do you guys have a barn? If you don't have a barn, do you have a dry place for your animals to come in out of the weather? And flashback to number 9. If you do adopt a pregnant donkey, are you willing to build a second one? Number 6. How much property do you have? And how much do you think you need? So that brings us to number 5. Number 5 is the commitment that it takes to have animals. For me, they're my family. I love them like family. I'm committed for life. For others, that might mean something a little bit different, but you need to think about what that means to you. And are you prepared for the commitment to have donkeys? Now, if you're already homesteading and you have livestock, you have animals, you probably have a pretty good idea about what that might look like. If you're already out feeding in the morning and you're feeding in the evening, you're putting your animals up, then you've probably got a pretty good idea of what that might be from a commitment standpoint. But if this is your first animal, I think you should really think about, what does that commitment look like to you? Okay, you guys, number 4 is probably an obvious one. Have you thought about how much it's going to cost? Donkeys are pretty expensive. They're worth every penny, but just think about all the costs associated with owning livestock, and donkeys in particular, because they do require a pretty specific level of care. So you need to think about farrier cost, or whether or not you're going to do that on your own, feed costs, shelter, things like that, vet bills, harnesses, food, toys, snacks. Our donkeys need a lot of snacks. So number 3. Number 3 is one that if you're already living on a homestead, you already have a farm, you already have livestock, then this one you guys probably know. But for anyone who's just getting started, it's definitely worth considering depending on your lifestyle. Number 3 is, what about vacations? Who's going to take care of your animals? I can assure you it gets a lot more challenging to travel and to be gone even just for dinner one night when you've got livestock. So number 2, the second most important thing that I think you should consider before getting donkeys is, do you need an emergency plan? Depending on where you live, there might be different types of emergencies that you might face. For instance, where we live, we're worried about a flood at times. So we want to make sure that we've got a trailer. We want to make sure that our donkeys are going to load in it. We want to make sure we've got a truck to pull it. And we want to make sure that we've got a safe location to evacuate our donkeys to, should we ever need to. Hopefully we never need to use that plan, but it makes me comfortable knowing we have a plan in place. I know others that have faced fire risk, things like that. There's probably severe storms. Have you considered what you might need to do in your area if there's ever an emergency? And do you have the resources that you need to deal with that emergency? Number 1, and this is by far, if you only take one thing away from this video, I think this is the most critical thing you should consider before getting donkeys. And it's, what's your legacy plan? Do you know how long donkeys live? How old are you? Thanks you guys for sticking with us. I wanted to show you this little baby. So he was just born early this morning. His mom was just keeping an eye out for him. All of the donkeys wanted to go see what was going on. This little baby was just born and they wanted to go meet him. He's so cute. If you guys like these videos, then please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to ring that bell so you're notified when we release a new video. Thank you so much for watching.